We're now going to start talking about inflectional markers. And these are markers on words that indicate grammatical information. So they can be either parts of words or they can mostly be suffixes, as we'll see. So they attach to words. So this is an overview of everything we're going to learn in the next 3 or 4 subsections. We're going to cover nouns now. So nouns can take 2 types of inflections. One is the plural marker. This is when you take a singular object and you make it plural. So we'll call this plural when it appears on a word. So cat to cats, box to boxes, cemetery to cemeteries. Sometimes it's S, sometimes it's ES, sometimes it's even just hidden. So if you think of a word like sheep, sheep can be both singular and plural. It doesn't really matter. Well, it's going to depend on the context, but the form is the same. We can have irregular nouns, so children, the ren suffix, or oxen is another good example. Ox singular, n to make it plural. We have some umlaut, some vowel change, goose to geese, or even total what's called suppletion. This is when you change the form of the word entirely, so person to people. Completely different. The other marker that we can see on nouns are the genitive markers. So this is about possession, either concrete possession or abstract possession. So normally we add an apostrophe S after singular nouns. After plural nouns, we add an apostrophe after the S and we don't add another one. So with Jack's pencil or Bat's fangs, we just put the apostrophe S on the singular form. For countries, we're talking about multiple countries, then we put the apostrophe afterwards. So this is to indicate possession. And to show that sometimes a word can have both plural and genitive on it. So if we say the student's grades are improving, we could be talking about a singular student. So student is singular. We're talking about one grade going upwards. But if we say the student's grades are improving, well, this sounds exactly the same when I say it, but we can see the S is inside. So this is a plural word with the genitive being attached on it, and now we're talking about a group of people whose grades are improving. So this is the only case where we can have 2 inflections on the same word, and that's with nouns for the plural and the genitive. We want to be able to incorporate the genitive into our trees. So on noun phrases, you may have a genitive marker. So for instance, if we take a phrase like the champion's belt, we can ask ourselves, like, what are we talking about? We're really talking about a belt. Now, whose belt is it? This is more information. This is talking about possession. So it is specifically the champion's belt. Therefore, in our tree structure, we can say that the is a definite determiner, champion is a noun, and then the entire noun phrase is a genitive. So this whole thing is the owner of whatever the noun on the right is. So the champion's belt, that has that ownership meaning, so we put the genitive function on the noun phrase. Now this can appear in prepositional phrases too, like the belt of the champion, or a slice of life compared to life's slices. So in this case, we're talking about the belt here. This is the belt of the champion. Who's owning it? The champion is the one owning it. The champion is the one possessing it. So this whole prepositional phrase of the champion is the genitive. It is the one doing the possession. There are 3 different or 4 different inflections that appear on verbs. The first one we'll talk about is the third person singular marker. So this happens when the verb is in present tense and the subject is third person singular. So these are the pronouns like he, she, or it, proper names like Rufus, or these singular nouns like the company. So we see usually an S at the end of our verb in this case, but sometimes we have different forms. So for example, we would have he has, but if we did I or you or they, we would say have. So this form of the verb is special, and this has what's called the third person singular marker on it. Now, some verbs do have that irregular form, so has is the obvious one, is, and then of course we have does. So these verbs that look like auxiliaries or double as auxiliaries sometimes will have that extra form. The present participle is another marker that appears on verbs that occur after progressive be. So before we showed this little thing in the advanced where we had ing, attaching to the progressive and then moving down. So this is just what that ing is. That ing marker is what's called the present participle, and it indicates progressive aspect. Past tense is usually pretty straightforward so that we don't have any auxiliaries here. And then we'll get a past tense by adding ed normally. So work to worked, trust to trusted, amount to amounted. But we do have a lot of irregular forms. So sometimes we have total suppletion. Sometimes we have what's called partial suppletion. This is when only a part of the word is changed. So have to had, eat to ate, go to went, do to did. Now, for the verbs that follow perfect have, they have this ed past participle marker on them. So this is called past part. So like we said before, this is ed or en. It comes down to the verb, and then we call this the past participle. So this occurs after perfect have. So move would become have moved, and this ed here is the past participle inflection. Adjectives can take two different types of inflections, and some adverbs show these too because we can convert the two and use them interchangeably sometimes. So the comparative marker is the first one. This is ER. This is when you have two things, thing A and thing B, and you're like weighing them on a scale and you're like, which one is heavier? So which one is more heavy? Which one is more young? Which one is more cute? So this is like ER. Some of these have irregular forms, so good to better. It's a totally different form, but we do see the comparative on here. Bad to worse, little to less. These are examples of comparative forms. So he is worse than me, he is less than me. Sometimes you'll see it on as a separate word. So instead of saying amazinger, you might say more amazing. So this is a qualifier more, and it has the comparative inflection on it. We also have the superlative. So this is when we have more than two things. So let's say three things plus, and we're trying to figure out the best or the ultimate whatever out of the group. So this is with the EST. So young to youngest, cute to cutest, clums to clumsiest. The irregular forms that have irregular comparatives usually have irregular superlatives as well. So bad to worst, little to least. And we get the qualifier again that can take it in the case of words with a lot of syllables. So amazing to most amazing, or fun to funnest or most fun. It's really up to you. So let's see which inflections appear on each of the underlined words. This is nouns, adjectives, and adverbs. So pause the video, try it yourself, and then let's do it. So he was walking down the street. So was has past tense on it, and walking is progressive, it's ing. So this has the present participle on it. Have you slept yet? Now you might be thinking this is past tense, but this is actually a past participle. And this is because in the main verb chain, we have the word have. So you have slept. Have you slept yet? Or have you been awake for 30 hours like me? Okay, what inflection is on hours? So this is a noun. This is going to be the plural. Okay, Deadpool is the greatest member of X Force. This is our third person singular. Deadpool is a third person singular subject. And greatest is an adjective. This is the superlative. This is picking out the greatest out of the group. Okay, Benjamin Franklin was credited with discovering electricity, but what he really discovered was a way into Mary Folger's heart. And that was so romantic. So what he really discovered, we have no auxiliaries. This is just regular past tense. And then on the actual noun itself, this is where we have the genitive. This is our possession. Okay, the person who was sleeping here left without saying his goodbyes. So sleeping was sleeping. This is progressive. This is a continuous event. So this is our present participle on here. And we leave without saying his goodbyes. So this has a genitive meaning on it. Someone had it at one point, but after she left, I didn't know where it was put. So had is going to be past tense. And what about didn't? Let me just put this gen in blue. But after she left, I didn't know where to put it. So I did. This is also past tense. So hopefully you're able to figure out these inflections. Again, these are not word categories. These are just parts of words or meanings in words that are inherent due to grammatical properties.